Greetings and welcome to Alt News Talk Radio, bringing you a video on the Florida Stand Your Ground shooter, Michael Drejka, who now has spoken for the first time. He says, "I followed the law." Breaking his silence in a jailhouse interview, the white Florida man charged with manslaughter in the fatal shooting of an unarmed black man in a dispute over a parking space says, quote, "I cleared every hurdle of the state's stand your ground law, self-defense law." Michael Drejka spoke for the first time since being arrested and charged in the July killing of Marquise McLaughlin, who was gunned down in front of his girlfriend and children. Drejka, 48 years old, invoked the stand your ground law, saying that he was in fear of his life after McLaughlin shoved him to the ground when he came out of a convenience store in Clearwater, Florida, to find Drejka berating his girlfriend, Brittany Jacobs, about parking in the handicapped parking stall. Drejka says, "I followed the law the way I felt the law was supposed to be followed," Drejka told WTSP TV in Tampa Bay. "I cleared every hurdle that the law had put in front of me." Asked if he could go back and change anything he did that fateful day, Drejka said, "No, not off the top of my head." Only on July 19th, Drejka spotted Jacobs sitting in her car parked in a handicapped spot outside the Circle A convenience store in Clearwater, waiting for McLaughlin, the father of her 3 children, to come out. He said he confronted Jacobs because he has a pet peeve about seeing people illegally parked in spots reserved for the disabled. Drejka said he once had a childhood sweetheart who was disabled in a car crash when she was 16, and that his mother-in-law is disabled. Quote, "I always said my whole life is always looking for a handicapped parking spot," Drejka said in the interview conducted Friday at the Pinellas County Jail, where he is being held on a $100,000 bail. "And it just always touched a nerve with me," Drejka says. Investigators said Drejka, who is not disabled, was alone on the day of the shooting. He denied that the episode that Jacobs and McLaughlin had anything to do with race, and said it was, quote, "totally false that he used racial slurs in the encounter with Jacobs or anyone else." Drejka refuted allegations by attorneys for Jacobs and the McLaughlin family that he is a racist. Quote, "No, sir, not by any means," unquote, he said. "I've worked with too many people. I've met too many people in my life to be that kind of person. There's no way to survive really by being like that," unquote. Surveillance video taken from in front of the Circle A store showed McLaughlin, 28, getting between Drejka and Jacobs and shoving Drejka to the ground. Drejka, who had a permit to carry a concealed weapon, is seen in the footage pulling a .40 caliber Glock handgun while he was still on the ground and firing it at McLaughlin, who appeared to be retreating. Well, at Alt News Talk Radio, we like to give a different perspective on the news that's reported by the mainstream media. What I find kind of peculiar is how Michael Drejka seems to have studied and analyzed the whole stand your ground law, the stand your ground self-defense law. It seems like he has studied it to make the statement that, quote, "I cleared every hurdle of the state's stand your ground self-defense law." It seems like it's premeditated, like he studied the law extensively before carrying out a senseless murder like what he's done. It's almost like he premeditated this, that he waited for a situation like this to happen. Well, why do you say that? Why do I say that? I say that because there is evidence of another black man who has come forward and stated that this same person approached them a few months back prior to this situation, and he threatened the man that he would kill him, and he too happened to be a black man. It's awfully odd when people say that they're not racist, but yet they don't have other situations like near-death situations involving other people. It just so happens that they involve black people. And then they say that they're not racist. It's kind of hard to say that when your actions are showing otherwise. So, again, I find it very odd that he, A, learned the law very well to be able to try to stand up and defend himself and defend his actions. And at Alt News Talk Radio, we do give you a different viewpoint, like I stated before. And in this particular scene here is where Marquise McLaughlin shoved this man on the ground, and as soon as he shoved him on the ground, he immediately pulled out his weapon. He didn't pull it out after maybe they got into a scuffle or fight, or if Marquise had attacked him. No, that never even happened. You don't even see that situation even trying to happen. What this man did, Drejka, what he did was he premeditated doing something like this to a black person. And in this situation, it happened to be Marquise McLaughlin. And he pulled his gun out because he has a permit to carry it. And he shot and killed a black man. And then tried to sit there and say that it was the black man's fault. We all saw that Michael Drejka was sitting there at their car berating the black woman who was in the car in front of her children. There has to be a concern about that, where some mad person comes up to your car with your kids in it and you're trying to stand your ground. And that's exactly what McLaughlin did. Marquise McLaughlin is standing his ground by standing in between this perpetrator and his girlfriend and family. And this man on the ground, the coward that he is, he pulled out a gun and shot this black man dead. Right in front of his kids and in front of his girlfriend. And at first, we had to listen to a sheriff, a so-called sheriff, that defended his actions and would not even take him down to jail and book him. And that is not justice at all. That is so far from justice, it's not even funny. It's just a sad case of misguided misjustice. As a matter of fact, the people involved should be looked at for a demotion. That's what should happen. But I'm glad that the justice came to their senses and they arrested Michael Drejka, because they too saw that this was a miscarriage of justice. It was not a stand your ground defense law. No, it wasn't. It doesn't fit that at all. It fits a racist murder that's unjustified. You don't kill someone because they push you on the ground. And that shove that they talk about, I've seen the video one too many times. Don't even fix your little bird lips to chirp out that it was a violent shove. It was hardly violent. He just got shoved out the way. It was his fault for being clumsy, tripped over his own feet. I believe that even if he hadn't have tripped over his own feet and fell on the ground, that this white man would have pulled that gun out and shot and killed him regardless, because he was being challenged. And the thing is, Marquise McLaughlin was standing his ground, and that black man got shot and killed by it, and he didn't even have a weapon. He was standing his ground without a weapon, and this coward on the ground decided to shoot and kill him. Well, that is the end of this story at Alt News Talk Radio. You can join us in the next video by making sure you subscribe on your way out. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next one.